Okay, so alternative aims to profit maximization. So when you look at the alternative aims to profit maximization, we know profit maximization happens at MC is equal to MR, right? Wherever MC is equal to MR, that's where we maximize profit. But sometimes what happens is that the firms have to deviate away from MC is equal to MR. Why do they deviate away from MC is equal to MR? Well, there are many reasons. The first reason could be the lack of information. So there could be a possibility that there is a lack of information in a sort of market, and firms are unaware of their predicted revenue and predicted costs. So when you do MC is equal to MR, it's not like actual MC and actual MR. It's like what will happen in the future. So what the firms try to do is that they find out what we call predicted marginal cost and predicted MR. And if this predicted MC and MR are not really exact, then firms do what we sometimes call guesswork. So one reason why they may not be able to do MC is equal to MR is because of the lack of information. So basically here, first reason why you would want or you would deviate away from MC is equal to MR is because you do not have, or you are unable to maximize profit due to lack of information. So you do some guesswork and try to sort of figure out what the right MC or MR would be, but it may not be accurate. Next sort of reason why firms sometimes are unable to maximize profit, it could be because what we say that the short run sort of profit may not be in the long run interest of the company. So it could be possible that you might be maximizing your short run, you may not want to maximize your short run profit because you're afraid that it may not be good for you in the long run. Why could it be not good for you in the long run? With two reasons. Number one could be the regulator, which is the government. Regulator may come after the firm if it finds they are making very high abnormal profits. If they're making very high abnormal profits, regulator would be like, the price is so high, so let's regulate them because the consumers are paying a very high price. So you may want to sort of keep your profits a little low because you'll be like, otherwise the regulator may come after you. The second reason why you may want to sort of keep your profits low and not do MC is equal to MR could be the entry of new firms, which may get attracted to higher profits. So you want to keep low profits because you'll be like, otherwise new firms may come and they can take away our market share, so let's keep our profit low. So this would be a second reason why you would see short-run profit may not be in the long-run interest of the company. The third reason could be what we call sometimes alternative aims may exist. And the first alternative aim we want to talk about is what we call limit pricing. Sometimes we are afraid of an entry of new firms, and we may want to sort of charge a price where we want to limit an entrant. So if there are potential entrant, we want to limit it by lowering price so that the entrant may not make normal profits, in fact may even make losses. So you want to make sure the price is low enough that the new firm cannot get attracted and may even make losses. How do we show this? Let's see in terms of a diagram. So if this is my average cost for the entrant, let's say entrant is a new firm, doesn't have economies of scale, the entrant has a higher average cost, price, and let's say this is the average cost of the established player, or what we call our monopoly here. Let's say we're a monopoly. Now if your price is, let's say, below P1 but above P2. If it's below P1 and above P2, one thing is for sure, that the price is above P2, you will make profit because price will be greater than ATC. But if it's below P1, you definitely know that the entrant will make a loss. So any price between P1 and P2 will make the entrant make a loss, and shut down, even make a loss, and the established firm and the monopoly to make supernormal profits. They're not abnormal profits, but they're definitely supernormal profits. And that's why any price between P1 and P2 would do that. So you are deviating away from MC is equal to MR because you don't want the new firm to enter. So that could be the first alternative sort of aim. The second alternative aim that we want to talk about is basically called sales revenue maximization. Sales revenue maximization happens because the firms are new maybe, and therefore they want to increase their market share. There could be possibility they want to increase their market share, they want to sell as much as possible. And number two reason could be they could also want to sometimes achieve economies of scale. So you're deviating away because either you want to achieve economies of scale or you want to increase market share, and that's why you want to do that. And we'll make a diagram, a slightly bigger diagram, where I'm going to show you all other goals in the same diagram. So let's start with that. So we'll make a downward sloping demand curve, and correspondingly we'll make our MR for that. Let's say this is my marginal cost. So if I'm charging MC is equal to MR, I am a profit maximization. So let's call this Q1, P1. So at A, MC is equal to MR, there is a profit maximization. But if I want to maximize sales revenue, I'm going to draw my average total cost as well. So let's say this is my average total cost. So guys, if I was producing at Q, let's call this Q2, if I was producing at Q2, then that's the point where MR is equal to 0. Okay, let's call this point B. When MR is equal to 0, this is where the sales revenue is maximum. Why? Because if you look at it, just to quickly recap a concept, remember sales revenue is maximum. So when MR is positive, total revenue rises. When MR is negative, total revenue falls. Remember that? So MR, when MR is 0, total revenue is positive. Don't need to draw this one, lower diagram, but I'm trying to sort of remind you this, that when MR is 0, sales revenue is maximum. So if you were charging a price at A, your MC is equal to MR. So you are maximizing profit. And that's why maximizing profit has the highest price. But at B, we are actually where MR is equal to 0. This is where we say that TR is maximum. So that's why we call it sales revenue maximization. Okay, let me zoom this. Again, we want to focus on only the upper diagram. But what if I was producing here at point C? Or let's say, just call this Q3. But the price, of course, is coming upper somewhere here. What is happening at C? At C, we call this the least cost output level. So if you want to lower your cost, this would be at point C, which is basically when ATC is the minimum, is at its minimum. So C is the least cost output. Okay. But what if I'm producing at this point D, where this is the point D, where P equals to MC. In other words, my output is Q4. Let's call this price to be P4. So at D, your price is equal to MC, and at that point, what we say, this is your least cost. Not least cost, P equals to MC is allocatively efficient. Remember, who would benefit from allocative efficiency? Consumers, and even government would want to make sure that allocative efficiency is followed. Shareholders would want you to be at point A, where profits are maximized, right? If you are a new firm, you want to maximize your sales revenue maximization would happen here. If you want to lower your cost, you want to be at point C. If you want to be allocatively efficient, you want to be at point D. But if you want to maximize sales volume, there's also a point called this point E. Let's call this Q5. At point E, let's call this P5. Your price is what we call at E. This is called sales volume maximization. Why am I calling it sales volume maximization? Because I'm making normal profit, yet selling the most quantity. So if I'm a new firm who wants people to try out my product, I would want to be at point E. Remember, our demand curve is our price, right? So MC meets price at point D. But at point E, P is equal to ATC, which is your normal profit. Okay? So these are the various goals. And let's quickly talk about why would you want to be at different points. So A, when you want to maximize profit. B, when you maximize sales revenue in dollar terms. You want to maximize your sales in dollar terms. C is when you are trying to be as efficient as possible. D would be when you want to be allocatively efficient. And sales volume maximization would mean you want to sort of sell as many units as possible, yet make normal profit. Do not make a loss. So the maximum you could sell, after P5, your price will make you a loss. Make sense? So that's the story here. One last sort of objective I want to talk about before we wrap this up. It's called satisficing profit. So in a satisficing profit, basically the theory goes this, that you have many, what we call many stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders in a firm? So let's just move on here. I want the diagram to be around, so let's do that. You have many stakeholders. You have your government, you have your firms, like shareholders, that's better, You have shareholders. Who else? You have your employees and you have your consumers. Okay, so shareholders, employees, consumers, and government. Shareholders basically would want you to be charging where MC is equal to MR. Okay, consumers would want you to be, give you the lowest price possible. So they will be very happy. They will find P equals to MC acceptable because at least P equals to MC, consumer surplus and producer surplus is sort of maximum. Government may also want things to be allocatively efficient, so P equals to MC maybe. Consumers, by the way, will also be not so unhappy. They will be very happy with, in fact, P equals to ATC. It's a very low price. But let's say P equals to MC. And employees basically depends on their incentive structure. Their incentive structure. What do we mean by this? If the employees are told that your salary is a function of how many units you sell, they would say P equals to ATC. If your employees are told that your job is to maximize profits, they would want MC is equal to MR. So basically, depending on whatever bonuses you're giving them, they will decide on that. Now, what satisficing profit theory says is that given that these are conflicting goals, one could argue this, that one price that can make everyone happy could be P equals to MC. At least in this case. Why? Look at this. When you have P equals to MC, this is your price. Right? If I zoom it, at this price, this is your ATC. Which would mean that there is still some profits the firm is making. Like if I look at this is some profit because this is your ATC at point, let's say X, this is your price at D, and there's some profit you're making. They're not supernormal profit, but they're still positive profit. So shareholders would be kind of content, satisfied. Make sense? The government would be happy because it's allocatively efficient. The consumers will also be happy because it's allocatively efficient. So many stakeholders are happy at certain thing. We argue this, that a satisficing profit is where many stakeholders are satisfied with a price. Okay, if they are satisfied with the price, we say this is a price which is giving what is called satisficing profit. It's making many stakeholders content at the same time. So that could be your last alternative aim to profit maximization.